Hot dog.
Check, check, check. Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're just about to get started with this week's episode. Less than 10 minutes left. While you got a couple of minutes here, why don't you go check out OTheAnthem.com. It's where you can find everything Oh The Anthem, including the merch store, the podcast, and all of the videos. Open up a new tab.
Anchor.fm/OTheAnthem is the place where you can get direct links to all the podcatchers you use to listen to our show every week.
Did you know we record every episode live on Facebook? Of course you do. But make sure that you're liking the page and turning on notifications so you get notified when we go live.
We make a ton of video content between the podcast, the short films, Heretics. YouTube.com/OTheAnthem is the place for it all.
And of course you can find me on any social network at Robert N. Sheep.
And me at LegendCB5.
And you can find the podcast at Oh The Anthem on all your social networks.
Happy insert random holiday here day to you. This is Corey, and this is the the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rob. I'm not sure I like the way Corey's taking a tone with fathers, but happy Father's Day to everybody. This is episode 376 of the Anthem podcast, coming to you from all over Los Angeles, but Corey is there for the next to last time in the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/the Anthem.
You know,
I guess for
the one of
next
us
week is going to be the last week with
high above the 110 freeway.
Yeah, high above the 110.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how things change.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, here we are, end of an era, I suppose.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the one of us who's likely to become a father giving shade to fathers on Father's Day? How dare you?
I wasn't giving shade to fathers on Father's Day. I'm just making fun of how every single day seems to be some sort of holiday.
Oh, it's National Selfie Day today.
Is it National Selfie Day?
Apparently. Yeah, Britney Spears
Yeah,
and the
I thought I saw
girl.
something about it being National Skateboard Day too.
Is that why Avril Lavigne made a video?
Maybe chill it with the days, you know?
Yeah.
But can't it just be Monday?
If anybody doesn't know, Avril Lavigne made a video recounting Skater Boy, and apparently the secret to immortality is fucking Chad Kroeger, because she does not look a day over 19. So, other than the tattoos.
Didn't she leave him and now she's with the guy from Sum 41?
Oh,
this
did
is
she?
the extent of my Avril knowledge. I don't know.
I thought it was
I
the
swore
opposite.
she went from one Canadian to the other.
Yeah, I thought she was with Sum 41 guy, and then she went to Chad Kroeger.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like I have to research this now. But anyway,
get your Canadian royalties straight.
Listen, all I know is you have to wear the Canadian tuxedo when I go, and you bow from the shoulders, not from the waist.
There was a last week during Gavin Newsom's reopening for California. He did it at Universal Studios, and all the Universal characters were there. Not the monsters for whatever reason, but the newer characters.
Yeah.
And Optimus Prime shouted out to Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom almost botched the joke about bringing him to a budget meeting.
Which one of them is a robot? I'm not really sure.
It's funny. I've been thinking about it more and more this week. Just there was a meme that was going around Governor Gavin Newsom with Mayor Optimus Prime. And all week it's just sort of been tumbling over in my mind, and I'm just yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. How bad could it be?
By the way, update on Canadian royalty.
Maybe for a change there would be an emphasis on how traffic moves.
No, because he can transform into a person and just walk out of traffic. He doesn't have to sit in it. He doesn't care. It's
I guess so.
Ted Danson's mayor taking the bus. He's just hey. Update on Canadian royalty. She was, in fact, married to Derek Whibley, who is the singer from Sum 41, first, from 2006 to 2010. Then married Chad Kroeger in 2013, divorced 2015. Now, Avril, who I believe is 35, single. So all I'm saying, Avril, I mean, blonde, clearly has daddy issues, some tattoos, likes to make horrible decisions when it comes to men. I'm available. I'm just saying. I'm available. So, if you're interested, Corey at OTheAnthem.com.
I'll forward it along. Yeah. I won't open pictures and nothing, I promise.
Oh my.
Speaking of questionable decisions, the Supreme Court had a couple decisions today. I thought we could run through some of those up top before we get lost in some sports ball.
Well, I just wanted to say, actually, up top, I think that something is going on in the world with, and I don't want to accuse a certain kind of person, but I do believe that the lushes are out. They're just getting wasted day in and day out now. And so, there's no news. There's absolutely no news. You're hey, what's going on? I don't know. Went to the bar this afternoon and had a couple of 6 rounds and then went home and passed out. Got up today and did it again. I don't really know.
I feel like this. We first saw this happening in an age when Trump was gone, because like when Trump was here, every day was a new international.
Yeah, that's
incident,
also true.
You know, like
yeah.
So, and like I think people, after the year of COVID, after all we've gone through, I think people are taking a break and saying like, you know what, maybe not so much news for a little while. How about we just have a couple days without news every so often?
Biden went to the UK, did the G7, went to NATO, then met with Vladimir Putin. News lasted like 3 or 4 days. We touched on it. That was it. But of course, he didn't, tell NATO there was a huge bill that needed to be paid. He didn't like insult the Queen.
Right.
He didn't give Boris Johnson a hand job under the table. So it was nothing like crazy that anybody could point to. They're like, so the American president.
I missed something from a foreign trip.
I just saw both of their hair as they walked out of the event, and I just assumed that there was a handy given to somebody under a table somewhere. But yeah, it's just like,
Rob lives in a much different world.
Why do you think I keep my hair so short now? I don't give things away. It's you gotta keep it together. But it's like the American president went out to the world and acted presidential. So boring. Here's the Kardashians.
Let me know when he falls down the plane. Like, alert me to the news.
Again,
like,
I challenge all of those people to climb stairs in front of 200 million eyes and not trip once in a while. Like all right, here we go. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Oh, shit.
Also, yeah, to that point, all of us have worn a new pair of socks for the first time.
Yeah.
Like you try a new brand, and then all of a sudden you find out like an hour into your day that these are going to keep sliding down.
Yeah.
Like, we've all had a moment where shit isn't exactly how we want it to be. And if you're in dress shoes trying to walk up metal stairs and you didn't score them well enough, like, that can happen to anybody. I don't blame them for that. All I know is that there is so little news going on that the fact that Biden was snippy with Caitlin Collins and then went back and apologized to the pool was like news for like 4 days. Like, people were just like,
by the way,
at first it was like, how dare he do it? And then it was like, the return of civility to the presidency because he can apologize for his mistake. And then they're like asking Caitlin Collins, like, are you okay? Will you recover from this? She's like, I'm a newsman. I can handle it, Well,
and speaking also of Caitlin Collins, again, someone who seems to take their job seriously, maybe have bad taste in men, make poor decisions. I'm available. Also, if you would like to, Corey at OTheAnthem.com.
She ain't got no time for you. I ain't getting no Caitlin Collins.
See, this is perfect, though. That's perfect because I don't like most people. She doesn't have time for any of it. So it's like, who is it the writer or singer that has like the houses in the different cities, but him and his wife have a house in a different city?
Oh, Leonard Cohen.
Cohen, yeah. It's just like, listen. I'll fly into D.C. It'll be fine. We'll see each other for dinner, and I'll be out. And then next time you're in L.A., we see each other. It's great. Sure. Perfect.
No worrying about like a mortgage or any like. You got your shit. I got my shit.
I'll continue to rent.
I can be in and out all the time.
I'll rent with my 175 credit score, and you can go buy a house in Virginia with your 975 credit score. It'll be great. I don't want to bring you down. The house you could get goes down substantially if I am married to you. I'm just letting you know. It's not a good situation. So, by the way, I found my calling this week too, because I saw a meme that said that why do 300,000 students have $3.3 billion worth of student loan debt? Why don't we just take one student, transfer all the debt onto that one student, and then they can bear the sins of us all? And I said, I have had a Christ complex my entire life. It is my time. This is my time. It's my calling. Give me all your student loan debt, and I will forgive you. And if at some point, the camera catches me as I, lean gently against a wall. Also, if I could somehow have abs, that would be amazing, like a nice 9-pack. Be great, wrapped in a towel.
Yeah, Jesus didn't have a beer belly.
Yeah, unfortunately. Although, I mean, do you think he had time to work out? I mean, although he hung out with 12 guys all the time, just 12 guys. So maybe, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he also like it's not like you could go down the corner and get a McDouble. Like he's like,
or could
he has advantages of like walking all the time and eating like pure animal protein and the Middle East too. So you got a lot of rice, you got a lot of things that are there to help burn.
Listen, he's
the fat there.
He's the son of God. He's sitting there with a dark colored liquid, and they're like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Listen, in approximately 1,800 years, a beautiful man in Atlanta, Georgia, is going to invent a beverage, and this is that beverage. I've turned water into Coke."
Into what?
Yeah, and then he's got like a loaf of bread, and he's like, "Let me tell you about the McDouble." And all of a sudden, Jesus is a wizard. I don't know why I just made him into a wizard, but there you go. Yeah, so.
Judas rubbing the lamp in the corner.
Anyway, SCOTUS. Serious news for the serious people.
Wish number 1, I'd like some wine. Wish number 2, what, no bread with this wine? Wish number 3, fuck off and die.
Well, you had 3 wishes.
All
All right.
Succinct. What am I supposed to say?
That's the alternate ending to Aladdin. Like, what's your 3rd and final wish? Genie, my 3rd and final wish is for you. Fuck off and die. You mother... After all I fucking did for
you. Jesus.
By the way, Robin Williams is Jesus.
Oh man, well, let's move on. Supreme Court.
We're workshopping. It's fine. It's a new era of Disney.
I feel like this conversation is my friend's lawsuit.
Yes. Go ahead.
So the one that I think will probably get the most headlines at some point here, as people sort of break down exactly what it will mean going forward, is the NCAA lost an antitrust suit, which is limited basically to the kind of remuneration a athlete can get through education purposes, like through the school. You sort of read this one up a little bit, Rob. What was your quick take on that one?
Well, so it seems like the case that was at question is about not about paying players to play, but any compensation could violate your eligibility for NCAA play. So, like, did you had a job while we were at Hofstra, right? Did you work security at some point too?
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
Working security, not allowed while you're an NCAA eligible athlete. So, literally, like, it's like scholarships and then out of pocket, which is why some shady stuff goes on. Like, I wanted somebody to come be a spokesman at my car dealership. Did I pay him? No. It just so happens he needed a ride home every day, and I gave him the keys to that Corvette. And it's not his car, but he drove it home. And then his next work day, which was 3 weeks later, he brought it back, and then I gave him a different car the next time, and he took that home. It's a tragedy, really, that I keep him working so late.
It's a long loan.
Yeah. It's just a loan. I'm letting him use it, but that's not direct payment. And it would block them from doing simple stuff too, like getting an internship. Like, there are some internships that, with, like, say, the federal government or the state government, they have to pay you because they pay all their interns. You cannot opt out of payment. So let's say, like, I was headed to law school, but I was also on the Hofstra baseball team. I would have to say no to a apprenticeship or an internship with a judge because they have to pay you, and I can't accept payment or I lose my NCAA eligibility. So essentially what this case said, the justices were like, you're not equally applying the law. You are essentially saying you're not allowed to work at all, even on a volunteer basis with remuneration in any form. Also, you're only allowed to work for us without remuneration whatsoever. So essentially you've acted not only as a trust, really. It's my words, not Supreme Court's. Slavery with extra steps. Like, we're going to give you an education. Also, you belong to us. And by the way, the NCAA rules are, if you change schools for any reason, even preference, even if you went from like an NC 1A school, or how's it work? Is it 1A or 3A?
1AA.
1AA. Then, and you went down to like Hofstra at D playing baseball. And it's like, listen, I took a big hit in my like visibility. I went from like Nebraska baseball to Hofstra baseball, Colonial League D. They would still say that, but you got to give up a year of eligibility because you changed schools. So it acts very much like you are an employee for a company and you have non-competes and you're also not being paid for it. So
Right.
while they make millions of dollars, oftentimes putting your name on a jersey that while you're on the field does not have your name on it, just a number. So,
yeah. I mean, I feel like this is probably a good first step into getting players paid in like an NCAA video game, right?
Yeah, and Brett Kavanaugh basically said that
especially if it would be something that would like apply across the board, like, you know, if you're one of 10,000 student athletes in NCAA that would be featured in the game, you know, the pie of likeness rights that would be extended out to everybody might be, you know, $5,000 a person or something like that. But everybody gets 5,000, regardless of whether or not you're the top quarterback, future number one pick, or just some guy who plays backup offensive line for Hofstra. You know, like,
yeah. And I mean, listen, Brett Kavanaugh, I would never suspect that he enjoyed maybe an adult beverage and watching college football on a Saturday afternoon, but he was the one who suggested that perhaps direct pay was on the table. But essentially, in that context, where like it would have to be equally applied, it's not a job where you have a skill set. You are a student, but you're also doing a job. So, Corey or I at me at 6 foot and Corey at a lot less than 6 foot, we're getting paid
5'9".
Like I said, we were getting paid a lot. We were getting paid the same amount of money as like the 6'6", 230 pounds of muscle guy doing security. Like, you just make an hourly rate. It is what it is, right? So
yeah.
By the same token, if you were going to do likeness rights, the guy who's the backup at Hofstra would have to get the same check as starting quarterback at Nebraska, because we're just dividing it up. It's the same job. We're going to do payment. So,
and I mean, that's the same thing that happens with the NFLPA and like Madden or something like that. Like, Drew Brees doesn't get more money than Pat Ricard, you know,
right.
like
he just gets more money.
They all
year.
get the same. Yeah, and like Drew Brees might be the cover athlete, so therefore he might get more money for that. But like, there's no as far as like a regular NFL player is concerned, you're getting the same amount. I think you get like $5,000 and you get a copy of the game, and like some swag,
Yeah,
but that's just what the NFLPA has negotiated for.
By the way,
likeness rights.
That game costs you $75 because they have to give away 4,000 copies of the game. So they're like, we got to make this up somehow. Corey, he can afford 75. It's fine. He'll keep paying it. What a schlub that guy is. He'll keep paying it. Don't worry. Every year.
Every year, same game. There was the other one that had you up in an ire there too.
Yeah. So I don't
Fulton versus Pennsylvania or Philadelphia.
Yeah, Fulton versus Philadelphia. I don't want to confuse what I just said about Brett Kavanaugh as a compliment. I was trying to intimate he is a beer swilling savage from somewhere between New York and Los Angeles. The parts that don't matter. And he really showed that in the decision in Fulton versus Philadelphia. So basically, Corey, correct me if I tried to explain this as simply as I could. There are 3 standards by which the Supreme Court can judge a law that impacts religion. The first is, basically just like a 50-50 shot, general applicability. If it applies to everyone the same way, then and it imposes something on religion, then it's allowed to it's constitutional. Just because yes, but theoretically, if Corey doesn't like cats, it still applies to him the same way that it applies to your anti-cat religion. So therefore, you both have to deal with cats. Sorry.
Or if it's a law that applies to everyone, regardless of
right.
You're not allowed to drive 110 miles an hour on a 30 mile per hour street.
But you don't understand. I had the spirit in
me. There's no
me.
religious exemption for that.
I was late for church. I put the light on top of my car. How is this not okay? Right. There's no exception, right? And the second one is that if it isn't generally applicable, then you have to find a compelling government interest against or in favor of keeping the law. And essentially what Fulton versus Philadelphia decided
And
was...
that was the example you made of like the noise ordinance, right?
Yeah, so essentially, imagine, again, that a town has a noise ordinance that after 10 p.m. there can be no large gatherings, more than 20 people, and that noise has to be kept under, what's a reasonable amount of noise for a town on a regular night? I almost said 20 decibels, but I'm like, that's like background noise. But then I'm picturing Ridgely, and I'm like, it's like 0 decibels in Ridgely on any given night. So, but like, let's say 50 decibels, right? So that's like a lawn mower 2 or 3 blocks away, which isn't super loud, but it's enough that it would wake me up on a Saturday morning when my neighbor decides to do his mowing at 6 a.m. So like they put that ordinance in place, and then what you can show as the town is that we've written 5, 6 citations for this. Only one of them involved the religious group who is now petitioning you for redress, right? And the law in itself, the Supreme Court would look at and say, well, okay, so it does apply equally, but it does also impact this religion. Is there a compelling government interest? Okay, so the compelling government interest here is to keep the streets quiet at night. And another part of this argument can be, is there an alternative? And of course, don't go out and preach on the street between 10 and 6 a.m. So you could literally spread the word of God every hour of the day other than the 8 hours between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And in fact, if you went to the commercial district, you could do it all day, because that's another limitation that we put on. Like, strip clubs can only be in a certain place, right? That's not religious. Yeah. It only applies to strip clubs, and it has been pushed and pushed and pushed to the court, and the court's always said, like, no, there's compelling government interest in protecting certain people in society from lewd and lascivious activity. So we are allowed to zone them into certain places, like 3 blocks off of the main tourist attractions in Baltimore.
Yeah, that was like the whole like when Giuliani used eminent domain to kick out strip clubs in Times Square.
Yeah.
It was like I'm doing this because I have a mandate from the community to clean up this neighborhood where children will be.
Yes, and
you can have a strip club, just not right in this block.
Yeah, then he zoned some areas. They created like a C4 zone, which is for adult entertainment, and then he said, "Well, we have places you can be. You should go to there, because if you stay here, we're gonna use eminent domain to take the building." And some people stayed and fought it, and I don't know if that made the Supreme Court. I know it made it up to the New York appellate court, where they said, like, well, listen, maybe it wasn't done in good faith, but as the law is applied, you're allowed to do that. There are other places you can go. He didn't outlaw strip clubs. He just said you have to go into these zones. And they followed all the proceedings. You should have gone to the zoning board meeting to fight the rezoning. And now now you're screwed. So the third one is what they call strict scrutiny, which is essentially, in a case involving religion, it says that I have to look very strictly at this law and make sure that it does not impact religion in any way. And historically, we have not used strict scrutiny when it comes to religion cases. Often it's used for 14th Amendment cases where it's like, okay, so let's see, does this actually impact the way that people are claiming, the way the appellant is claiming that it impacts them? Like, are you going out of your way to, I think about giving cops the middle finger, but then that was like a much lesser scrutiny than strict scrutiny. Because they were just like, well, we've already said giving somebody the finger is speech. What difference does it make if it's a cop? Is there a compelling government interest in making illegal to give a cop the finger? No. So it kind of fails there. But let's go on and look at that strictly, whether or not this would impede free speech. And and so they just basically said it essentially takes away, because you can have laws that stop you from, at the time, I guess, you had laws that could stop you from using profanity in public. But using a symbol to stand for profanity was the outlet against using profane language in public. Right? So if we take one away, now both fail, because you don't have the other as a release valve for the opposite.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Amy Coney Barrett, big surprise, Handmaid's Tale herself, and Brett Kavanaugh both sided with the majority, but on their own side opinion, essentially said we should apply a stricter test. Now, the Supreme Court has historically not, but we should apply a stricter test when it comes to religious laws, laws that might impact free exercise. And I think the example I used for you, Corey, was if a country put in these type of laws and this type of review, and the country was a majority Muslim country, we would invade them. Like that's basically where we are right now. Now that is an inkling of what we have coming in the future, because Brett Kavanaugh's like 42 and Amy Coney Barrett's like 40. So got a long time on the court at this point. And they're just going to be fighting for the application of strict scrutiny to religious exercise cases. And listen, I'm an atheist, so I'm not coming at this from an atheist point of view. I'm coming at it from a point of view of impact. If we use strict scrutiny to look at all exercise of religion cases, I could start my own religion, which I absolutely am, and you guys should look for materials on that coming very soon. But what I would say is that, like, I've started my own religion, I hold it in high esteem, and I shouldn't pay taxes at all, because I everything I earn is actually payments made to a religious figure, the head of a religious organization. Now, under most review levels, they would say things like, well, the IRS is allowed to test you to see if you are truly a religion. And then if I had billions of dollars in Hollywood stars in my religion, I would still be able to sue the IRS until I got my way. But if I didn't, I would have to drop it and just pay taxes. Under strict scrutiny, though, they would essentially say, does this law impact the free exercise of religion? Now, I don't know if Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh would support my, hippy-dippy new age religion.
What you're ready to call a religion.
Yeah, but let's just say that they saw an opportunity and they jumped on it. Then essentially it would overturn the entire IRS code. Because right now you have to prove to the IRS that you are a legitimate religion. But essentially only saying it is a religion is enough to get out of taxes. And if the law doesn't allow for that, absolutely, then the law is unconstitutional. So
it'd just be like a shibboleth of avoiding taxes, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you thought the billionaires not paying taxes was bad, wait till all the crazy Christians come out. And then it's like, listen, I have a very distinct form of Christianity, and I believe that Jesus rose after 6 a.m. on the fourth day. So technically I'm a fourth day Adventist. And,
This is the first holy church of Chuck the dog. I would appreciate my taxes not be stolen from me.
I hit this dog with my car, and 2 days later, he walked back in the yard. Praise Chuck.
So here we go. All we have to do is create a church of what's the term for that thing?
Flying spaghetti monster?
No. The Church of Sovereign Citizens.
Oh, wait.
Get everybody in.
And there you go. So wait, let's say and by the way, they 100% would do this. You start the Church of Sovereign Citizens. Now you're overturning the IRS tax code. You're overturning the Social Security Administration. Everything. Basically everything overturns, because you were saying that the laws of the United States do not apply to me, despite the fact that I am in the United States, because I do not claim citizenship of the United States. The 14th, the 10th, 12th, 15th, 18th, 17th.
And I mean, if you can make a compelling religious reason why it is against your religion to pay taxes, I mean, like
everything. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want to register my child with Social Security, and I would like you to delete my records, because that kind of oversight violates the laws of the Church of Sovereign Citizenry. And there you go. And that's basically the end of society. Until Amy Coney Barrett, her husband, and the 5 wives and husband couples that come to their house every Saturday night, set about to form the founders, and then the annual purge begins.
Well, I mean, I was hearing a lot about, in regards to this religious case in particular, and Smith. What is your read on that? Like,
so basically, the thing that really got me up in arms about this is the city of Philadelphia is trying to cancel its foster services contract with the Catholic Charities of America, who I believe at some point within the last 20 years were placing children with whatever adult was satisfactory in their mindset to foster. Now, not adopt, foster. Watch this child and keep them alive until the system can figure out what to do with them. Sometimes that does lead to adoption, but it doesn't always. And then at some point, my guess is between 2016 and 2020, that policy changed to say that openly gay couples or openly gay singles were now not qualified as fosters and as foster parents. And so the city of Philadelphia has started the process of trying to end their contract, which probably, I didn't read that far in. My guess is it's like a 25-year contract or something they signed for unbelievably low amount of money. And so the Catholic Charities is saying, no, because if you take that away from us, we will lose the ability to serve. And I suppose that that's correct. I'm not sure how Frankie would feel about this. I would say that the Archdiocese of Boston probably very upset. You know, they don't want to lose access to all those children. But otherwise, they applied the compelling interest test. And that is essentially the other case that they talk about in that division, employment division versus Smith, sets about the compelling interest standard, which essentially, again, kind of as what I said before, where it's like, what is the compelling government interest in the need to apply this law and have it interfere with religious free exercise? And essentially what the court found here in Fulton was that the city of Philadelphia, I don't know if you know this, Corey, rather well known for its, I don't want to say corruption. It's not really corruption, but it's like exceptions, the exceptions to the rules. Everybody can get an exception. By the way, the tallest building allowed by law in the city of Philadelphia is what?
It's the Penn National building, right?
110 feet. The city, Philadelphia City Hall is the tallest building allowed. Every building that's come after that has been granted an exception because no building in Philadelphia is allowed to be taller than the statue of Ben Franklin that is atop the Philadelphia City Hall. That's it.
Yeah.
And they keep just granting exceptions to allow skyscrapers to be in a modern downtown, which of course, but the court can look at that and say, well, look, you have a code that is full of exceptions. Like,
well, I mean, that was in LA too. Like,
right.
LA City Hall was registered as like, you know, no building can be taller than the Civic Center, basically.
Well, but they enforced that for a long time. Then they changed the law.
Oh, well, they did for a long time because it was earthquake safety, I think. Like,
yeah.
they were concerned about anything taller than that being safe against earthquakes. And then as technology allowed for buildings to be built higher and still be safe.
And when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson moved to L.A., and then they were feeling safe that he could save us in the event of a large earthquake on the San Andreas.
Some sort of natural disaster. We got The Rock around, so
yeah,
inside county line. So
yeah, we'll go ahead and allow them to build big buildings.
But I mean, like, I think L.A. had like probably 20 years where that code was still in the book, but they were granting exceptions to it because you know, certain projects could show that they had put enough work into their earthquake plan. And
then essentially somebody said, it's a farce. We're just basically granting it to everybody who applies. They just have to meet this different standard. So why don't we make that standard the standard? And it changed the law. So that's a progressive way of looking at it. And the West Coast does progressive very well. East Coast, not so much. I don't know if you've ever been around an Eagles fan, but they're terrible. Especially once they have children and move to the suburb. Then they're the worst. But we may know a few Eagles fans. But yeah, so essentially what they said is your code is full of exceptions, so you can't say that there's a compelling interest in this particular case to not grant the exception. What's your compelling interest? And basically Philadelphia argued that, you know, a lot of children won't be placed if this isn't allowed. But they have a lot of children in their foster care system. So it's not as if they have made an effort to clear the system and place all the children. So why? And, I mean, it's not a terrible argument. That's the crappy thing about it is So, do you know that there was a woman who sat on a bus and refused to move before Rosa Parks? 2 months before, actually.
Yeah, she wasn't like an ideal candidate for a lawsuit, right?
She was 15 and pregnant by an older man.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, we love your story. You do not play well on the national stage. But 55, I think, maybe 45-year-old Rosa Parks, who worked all day, and all she wanted to do was sit in the blacks-only section of the bus. But then the bus driver tried to make her move because the whites-only section was full, and she refused to give up her seat. So now there's a woman. She's a church godly woman, and she works hard, and she's older. That's the one we want. So I have an inkling that they thought that this was the case because of the clear bigotry that came from the Catholic Charities saying, oh, what? You have 4 felony convictions? Well, you served your time. Here's your foster child. And allowing that, but not allowing a upstanding homosexual couple to take a foster child. That's clearly bigotry. But then they got hoisted by their own petard of exceptions.
Yeah.
Back to the source thing, which was the Employment Division versus Smith basically set the standard for what is the compelling interest test. And what do they have to reach? And basically one of those points that they look at is how often do they grant exceptions. So, and I don't know that I ever read Employment Division versus Smith, but let's just make a hypothetical here where the Employment Division of whatever city that was basically said, we don't grant exceptions for anything at all. If you're on the schedule, you're on the schedule. Now, if you request off 2 weeks in advance, you can request off. But if you end up on a Sunday, you're working on Sunday. And Smith said, listen, I'm a religious person, and I need off every Sunday to go to church. And they said, listen, we don't make any exceptions. Unless you request off individually every Sunday, 2 weeks in advance, you can't get the Sunday off. Then there is a way that the court could look at that and say, well, okay, look, general applicability, sure. But let's take a next step and look at a compelling interest. Well, while it would be reliable that this person would not be available every Sunday, it certainly may not be good for Metro to be short on drivers on Sunday because drivers could just not show up for work or be expected not to work on Sunday. And it may lead to them to ask a question on the entrance exam like, are you religious?
Are you a practicing religion?
Right. And that would then be violative in another way. So either we have to worry about a city full of bus drivers who are all diehard Christians from September to January, and they miss every Sunday of work during that time period, or you have to allow them to say, we don't allow exceptions at all, and we don't allow an exception for this. So let's just say that hypothetical is how it would be applied. And they have that test now. That's what they applied here. And they said that there was no, it wasn't granted general applicability because there was a lot of exceptions granted across whatever code. And also there was no compelling interest for the state to make an exception of this particular Catholic charity. So upsetting.
Gotcha.
We are getting like, this is what I hate about religion. And that's why I got worked up about it though. It's just like, you're a Catholic, defend this. Defend this. How is any homosexual couple not equal to a heterosexual couple?
I mean, I can't defend that, but I mean, like, I don't think that. I think part of the reason why, you know, like the Catholic Church in particular is having so much trouble keeping people from coming in all the time is because a lot of their views are very dated. And when you dig your heels in as to, oh, no, God has said that, you know, like being gay is a sin. And like when you spent so much time like living in that world, it's hard for you to just all of a sudden like change it up, you know, like.
Yeah.
It'd be like if I just like tomorrow was just like, you know what I could really go for? Some mayonnaise on this sandwich. And you'd be like, wait a minute. You?
Yeah, I would not believe
And I'm
you.
like, I've always loved mayonnaise. There's never been a point where I didn't love mayonnaise. And then you'd be like, no, hold on. This is absolutely not true. I know for sure you've had a fight to the death over mayonnaise for the entirety of me knowing you. And now just suddenly in a day you decide that it's not going to be a thing anymore. It's like,
I've seen
it was
you
never a
drive
thing.
40 minutes back to a restaurant to return a burger that had mayonnaise on it. Don't tell me.
There is a I can see in the future just the Catholic Church just being like, wait, what? No, we love gay. What do you mean?
Yeah.
All of our best friends are gay. Like, at some point they'll be like, oh no, we never did that. Like,
Or
Scientology is doing that too. Just going back to that one.
yeah.
Like, they based so much of like their whole religious structure off of like the level of humans. Like where does one person compete compared to another person? And usually, your level in Scientology help declare that level on the scale.
Weird.
But just generally speaking, the lowest of the low was the perverts, the sexual miscreants, and the homosexuals.
Yep.
Because it was in vogue in the 50s to just be like, yo, it's the gays' fault.
Yep.
Because there was a lack of understanding of how this could potentially come back. Like, it was just like, oh, this is always going to be in vogue. It's all like, nobody's going to ever be in favor of the gay agenda. So why are we even worried about this?
David Miscavige went through the notebooks and he was like, wait, there's a piece missing here. It's under a smudge of mayo that L. Ron left on the page. Not the gays, though. Oh, that's very clear. Let's reissue all these books.
You guys, we got some new text.
You're never going to believe this.
So to all the people that we persecuted for being gay, sorry.
Yeah. But I'm reading, I'm not reading, I'm listening to an audiobook written by The Kid Stays in the Picture. Robert
Evans.
Okay. Robert Evans, war reporter, not Robert Evans, producer, but has the same name. That's how I remember it. He wrote a novel about a civil war breaks out, very similar to my books, but his is kind of focused on Texas and how like Dallas, Fort Worth becomes this secular stronghold, and all of these religious fundamentalists basically break up into like sections in Texas, and weirdly accurate. Like he's getting into stuff that I can see actually happening, where it's just like, wait, you don't believe in my particular. Oh, so the opening to that is there's an uneasy peace in Texas because like, you don't believe in my particular brand of Calvinism? Well, you're just as bad as the infidels. And so like there's so much infighting amongst the Christians because they can't agree on what the one doctrine is. And we're at the point now in the novel, in like chapter 5, where some great preacher has united them all and basically said, we're going to drive the heathens from the land, and then we'll have a great holy war to figure out which one of us is actually right about God. And I'm like, I can 100% see like Billy Graham Jr. and that dude who like jumped up on top of his SUV and was like, you take that back, like in the reporter's face or whatever, starting a religious war where it's like, and then eventually coming to a peace where they're like, listen, can we just agree to kill all the homos and then we'll fight amongst each other about which God is right. Creflo
Oh, Creflo Dollar.
Creflo Dollar is just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and he gets on one of his 3 private jets and flies fucking out of there. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. So, anyway, welcome to Handmaid's Tale, and yeah. All right, here's the thing. I know that there are people who like it's easy for us to joke about that. Like there are people who like look at Handmaid's Tale and like that future would be unbelievably terrible, and holy war and wherever. Here's the difficulty for me. As a white male who grew up in the church, I just become like a shapeshifter in that society because they're like, which God do you believe in? And I'm like, is there another God? The one who sent his son to the earth to die, sacrifice himself, left with us the Holy Spirit who's with us here today? And they're like, that's right, brother, come on through. And I'm like, I'm going to cut your throat when you sleep, but I'm good for now, so that's fine.
As long as you survive another day, that's the only only rule of it.
Being white and male is being white and cis and male is I mean, listen, I check my privilege, but I also recognize my privilege. There is basically 0 point in time that I cannot go back to and bullshit my way into survival. That's not true. Maybe like 30 years from now, if Fox News is right, I'm going to be hunted like an animal for being cis and white and male.
I think the relative statement there is if Fox News is right, which so far,
not
no, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well.
Of course, I always love when something stupid and ridiculous is said on Fox News, and then my natural reaction to it is like, all right, calm down. Like, this probably isn't a real thing. And then it turns into a real thing, however ridiculous it is.
Just because of Fox News?
No, well, yeah. And then I'm sitting there going like, okay, it didn't stop being ridiculous. It's just now it's ridiculous and true. Like the whole Arizona recount. Like yeah. I would have told you beforehand. Like there is no way this is gonna happen. It's just stupid, and Fox News is pushing it, and I'm just like, it ain't happening. I don't give a shit. And then it happens, and then people would be like, "Aha!" And I'm like, just because it happened doesn't mean it should have.
That's QAnon logic. That's the QAnon logic. Like, see, he was right. Well, okay, so he was vaguely right about one thing. What about these other three things? Oh, we don't know yet, do we? Like, okay.
Did you hear about the QAnon people losing their mind here recently?
Oh, yeah. That they think that Q is sending them messages about shit. Yes, I read a story about this on Reddit.
Well, so the new conspiracy theory they're all following is that Trump will just be replaced as president on August 15th. Like
yes.
there will be like a secret court thing that happens, and then all of a sudden Trump becomes president. None of which I learned in any of my Constitution classes. But
well, here's the thing: it's not happening publicly though. It's going to happen in secret, and he'll be the secret president, and nobody will know. Joe Biden will still be in the White House, but Trump will be secretly running things,
pulling the levers.
Yeah.
Well, the QAnon people got a little bit upset because Trump and Bill O'Reilly are going to go on a speaking tour, and they booked dates that are after the August 15th Trump will become president again time.
Yeah.
And they're just like, wait, how can he be president and go on a national speaking tour with Bill O'Reilly? Something doesn't seem right here.
Maybe
it's almost like we're being lied to.
By the way, the favorite thing I did last week was, I got into an argument about masks and COVID, and people were like spouting stuff at me that I was like, where'd you get that from? What's the website? And they were like, oh, I don't read mainstream news. I read deep. And I'm like, all right, we're done. But then I made up a conspiracy and made them all believe it over the course of the day by feeding them updates to a completely nonsensical and non-existing conspiracy. And then at the end of the day, revealed to them that they would have all fell for QAnon, only to have them like, oh no, QAnon's so stupid. Blah. And I was like, you were literally agreeing with me when I was making up nonsense. That's all this is. It's drawing wild conclusions from unrelated things. Well, no. My dad, he's into QAnon. I would never be in. I'm like, okay. All right. Yeah. Wasn't as satisfying as I thought, except for like the one person in the corner who was just like, I'm questioning my own existence. I don't believe that just happened to me. And I'm like, I got one. All right. 1 out of 6 ain't bad. Especially for millennials, because half of them probably didn't know the big words I used.
It's always funny, when you realize something like that, like how easily people can be led astray. I realized something the other day. I was listening to Gary V.
Fuck Gary V.
Hold on. I think you're gonna like where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I just realized he's like the new. Oh God, what was that guy's name? The Medium. Was it John Edwards?
John Edwards. John Edwards.
Yeah.
Same name. Yep.
Like how like he could just he picks up on the cues of the people in the audience to determine how he's going to react.
Yep.
Like it's all about just like deflecting and projecting a different attitude towards every single person based off of how they give you the stuff that they're.
Yep.
Like if you talk to Gary Vee and you started with like, man, I'm so fucking psyched. I'm so happy. I can't believe it. Everything's lining up just the way I wanted to. He'd just be like, yeah, man, the hustle. I love it. It's just like, my mom's finally dead, so I can do what I want. He'd just be like, he would throw him off so bad. He would be like, oh man, I've already committed to this hustle line. And now here I am out in the middle of nowhere. What do I do?
Yeah, I know he hasn't used this as an example, but he always billed himself as the guy who could go on like Joe Rogan and like Oprah, because his message is so universal. It's not political. It's not. But you're a fucking hustler. You're a snake oil salesman. And also, by the way, stop preaching about how to be successful. You were born rich. You were born rich. You stayed rich. Good job. You got born on third base, and then you celebrated all the way home as if it's something to celebrate. Some of us were born outside the stadium and then had to get enough money for a ticket to fucking see the game to even get in and play it. Some of us, and that's not me, for fuck's sake. I was born on first base. Again, white, cis, male. Born on first base. Didn't have the money, but I'm on the field. So there we go. And I do dumbass shit like, running past the guy on second so he's out and then going back to first just to try and give the guy at the plate a better shot, Shooting myself in the foot, but also fuck that guy because he's like slightly better off than me, but also doesn't recognize his privilege. So, yeah.
Speaking of baseball.
Did you like that transition where I was trying to work a baseball?
Speaking of baseball, Rob, I want to read your pulse on this one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in our lifetime, the two big cheating scandals have been steroids and have been the Houston Astros banging on trash cans, trying to guess pitches,
right? Yeah,
and give themselves the advantage of that and going on and winning the World Series. Now we have a third cheating scandal in our lifetime.
Oh no,
which is foreign substances on the baseball.
Right.
Where upwards of maybe 70% of pitchers have been using some form of substance on the ball in recent years.
Now, what is the rule about substances? What can you? Because sweat doesn't count, right?
Yeah. So technically,
balsam or what's in the.
So they have a rosin bag.
Rosin, that's what it is. Yeah.
And you can sweat. Like there's no. You're supposed to try and like wipe off sweat, excess sweat.
Yeah.
But there's no rule that you can't sweat.
Yeah.
And then when you combine sweat and rosin, then it creates like a sticky, like you can literally just like put your hand out like this and the ball will stick to it if you have enough sweat and rosin on your hand.
And that's what I was trying.
Like, you don't need
what
to
they put
actually
on the
grip
bat.
it.
What do they put on the bat?
Pine tar. But that's illegal for pitchers.
Right. You can't have pine tar. You can have it on the bat, but not when you go out to the mound.
Yeah,
but essentially they can make pine tar by mixing their spit and their sweat with the rosin that's available to them.
Right, and I mean, like technically you can use sunscreen too because they can't keep you from wearing sunscreen.
Right. Yeah.
And like those are all legal. And you know what? Even though pine tar has been illegal as a substance you use as a pitcher, it's also been kind of like commonly understood that pitchers are going to use pine tar in certain situations, like. Say we're playing in Boston and it's fucking 40 degrees outside. I would prefer the pitcher on the other end have a little pine tar to go to because I don't want him to lose control of the ball and hit me. Like,
or
if it's cold out, the grip is beneficial for the pitcher so he doesn't hit me. Has always been the logic for.
If you have a higher RBI rate than your ERA rate, I also am accepting of the pine tar because I'm like, this guy's hitting home runs, man. I gotta let him when he gets the bat. I can't put him at a disadvantage. Because Jake DeGrom from the Mets is apparently a goddamn monster. More strikeouts, first 100 strikeouts since they moved the pitcher's mound to 60 foot 6 inches. He has an ERA of 0.5. Whatever. What did you say it was now? Because it went up a little bit.
0.56 or something like that.
0.56, and he's batting 400 with like 6 RBIs.
He's given up 4 earned runs all season long. And he's hit 6 RBIs all on his own.
Yeah, by the way, that's not just hits.
Net runs
RBI
+2.
Yeah, I was going to say he's scored people to +2. That doesn't even count when he gets on base and allows someone else to hit him in. So if you're playing like that, I'm like, yeah, he's got pine tar on his hands. Yeah, he's got more hits than you have this game. How about you get out there and stop bitching? How about that, huh? All right.
I also like the Shohei Ohtani stats from this past week.
Yeah.
Tuesday, home run. Wednesday, home run. Thursday, 6 innings pitched with a win.
Friday, day off.
Or Friday, 2 home runs. Saturday, home run. Sunday, home run. As a person who was playing against Shohei Ohtani in fantasy, I was very, very upset that he decided this was the week that he was just going to literally do it all.
Oh, man.
No, but
hey, thank God he's in the American League and he's not hitting on the days he's pitching as well.
So, basically, since the last time that we paid attention to pitchers and foreign substances, there has been basically an arms race to develop the best substance. And like I said, upwards of 70% of pitchers, it's being thought are using some form of substance to gain an extra grip on the ball. With the idea being that in recent years, spin rate has become everything.
Right.
So if and that's not a thing we could determine before because we didn't have the high speed cameras and the different machines that could like determine how many times the ball was spinning in a pitch, right?
Unless you're an Orioles pitcher, then you can just eyeball the 0 rotations on the way into the.
I mean, the eephus doesn't really have that many rotate. You know, like you just sort of it's just a soft toss into the catcher's mitt. By the way, there was about to be a combined no-hitter against the Orioles, and then all of a sudden Michael Franco hits a home run, and I'm just like, thank you. 10-2. All I needed was a hit. Thank you.
Oh man.
So where do you stand on pitchers and these foreign substances now? Like, do you find this as offensive as steroids? Do you think it's a reasonable thing? What do you think about them like cracking down on it in the middle of the season?
Well, so I mean, I think reasonableness is one thing. I was about to say, I remember 2014, I want to say 2015, I can't remember. It was while we were still like in Baltimore going to games. The Orioles were on the road against the Yankees, and somebody had like a sheen on the outside of their arm. And I remember there being talk after the game about 4 white umpires questioning the pitcher who had put cocoa butter on his arms before the game and then sweating it. It had like built up a sheen so you could see it, but it wasn't clearly there to aid the pitching. He had it on both elbows. So like it looked as if it had been applied as actual lotion. Now, did he use it to help pitching? Highly likely. If I knew I had a substance on me that I could explain away and it would help my rotation get up, then yeah, get a little slippery substance on there. But it was like this accusation of racism, and I was like, yeah, so that's why you would want to have a black ump on the crew, right? Because he's like, boy, why do you have cocoa butter in your eyebrows? That's not where you put it. No, John, you don't ever put. I've been black my whole life. You do not put it in your eyebrows. Kick his ass out, like, right? But then you got 4 white guys sitting there like, do you put it in your eyebrows? I don't know. Did I use it on eyebrows? I hear about the Vaseline. Is Vaseline on? But that's lips, I think. I don't think that's eyebrow. And like they're discussing it. Like, I'm not gonna be. John, I am not going to be called a racist, all right? I like this job. I'm trying to keep this job. And they're arguing, right? But by the way, that is a message about diversity overall. When you have people in positions of power that are matching the diversity of the people who they're looking at, you get good decisions rather than like a bunch of me's trying to, 1, be progressive, 2, not be racist, and also 3, not be seen as being racist, even if you are trying to not be racist, right? So... But to the main topic, here's the problem. I believe I once said on the show, let's let everybody take steroids and it'll make the game so much more exciting. Just like we'll push the fence back to 650 feet. It'll be the Polo Grounds, but all the way around, and then just like a new age of baseball. The problem though is when you let pitchers cheat, then it gets to be boring for the casual observer because you have to be a baseball fan to enjoy a pitcher's duel where it's a combined no-hitter on both sides. And you're like in the ninth, you're like, is anyone going to reach base in this game? And, a 10-year-old kid sitting there like, this is the worst experience of my life. All I want to see is a hit. I got my glove. I'm in the upper deck. I just want somebody to hit it up here. You're like, kid, you're never getting a ball hit up here. Sorry to break your heart. Steroid era is over. But I mean, honestly, it's like, where do you draw the line? Because when it came to the steroids, it literally had to be in everyone's face, and even more than in your face, because Barry Bonds' head was like 4 sizes bigger than it should have been, and nobody said anything. It was only when like it leaked from whoever was selling the drugs, I think, right? Was that how that broke out? Yeah. The guy got in trouble for selling them, and then it kind of came out. How are you going to, how are you going to police it, really? Wait, what? What's the corked bat story that you always tell about the guy jumped into the umpire's dressing room to get the corked bat?
Jason Grimsley, yeah. See, and I go back to that. How cheating can be admirable. Like there's a way. There's cheating,
a little bit. There's a little bit of
like
kudos.
It's not a perfect system, but like there's a means by which you're doing it to affect a positive outcome in some way. And I think pitchers want to be the best versions of themselves, and this is raising spin rates and making them into video game characters, and it's fine. I don't mind it that much. I think my big problem with it, and I got this from Trevor Bauer's YouTube. Now, Trevor Bauer is been long outspoken on this subject. He said, if the MLB should do something about it, and they should get rid of all these foreign substances. But if you're not going to do anything about it, I'm gonna use them all I want.
Right. Yeah.
So he apparently found the best substance and has been using it, and he and every other pitcher on every team he plays for gets better all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Whenever
he joins the team and everybody gets better.
The spin rates on the Dodgers up until recently were higher than they've ever been. So
weird.
But
wait. Well, you said recently. What happened recently?
Well, MLB cracked down and said that the umpires are allowed to check for foreign substances. So all of a sudden, spin rates have declined precipitously. Like everyone knew that something was about to happen. But
wait,
I appreciate a couple of his points though, where he said, to do this in the middle of the season, like basically go into the season saying like we're not going to do anything about it,
and then change your mind,
and then decide to do it in the middle of the season, could have unintended consequences. Like he said, for instance, Tyler Glasnow, one of the best young pitchers in baseball, recently got hurt, and there was some talk about whether or not he had been gripping the ball harder because he didn't have the sticky substance anymore to aid him.
Yeah.
And therefore, he might have gotten a Tommy John surgery because he's not using his substances.
He's bearing down, and it put too much pressure on the elbow. Because, by the way,
right. And
the over-the-shoulder throw is an unbelievably unnatural motion.
Yeah.
We should not be doing that unless you're chucking a spear.
And beyond that, he also brought up the point of, like, umpires are not the best. This is not the job that they signed up for.
Right.
To determine what level of sticky is illegal,
Yeah.
Because you can have the rosin, you can have the sweat, you can have the sunscreen, and that's legally allowed to be that sticky. But like, at what point do you go beyond? Like, where's the Mendoza line on stickiness? He's
like, all right, listen, we're gonna bring a bucket out here. I want you to dunk both hands in, and then grip that towel firmly 3 times. All right, now we're gonna call that clean.
If you float, you're a witch.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you, like, hit rates aren't down, right? Like, the game, we're still getting big hits. You're still getting high-scoring games. So I think at least where we were at the beginning of the season, it wasn't making an impact to the point that the power had shifted away from the batter to the pitcher. It was maybe equalizing it some, but...
So it was. The hit rates were down.
Were they?
League-wide batting average is down from where it had been before. But that also sort of aligns with the sort of 3 true outcomes style of offense that's happening now, where it's like, I either want somebody who walks or gets a home run and then nothing else. Like,
or strikes out.
If they strike out, it's fine. It doesn't even matter. Like, Chris Davis, when he was striking out 200 times a season, doesn't even matter. As long as he gets those dingers, it don't matter.
Yeah, it's not small ball anymore. It's not about just getting guys on and moving them around. It's put on a show.
Right. Well, it's the Earl Weaver, like good pitching, defense, and 3-run home runs. Like, that's the whole ball of wax there.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting to see where things go. I do agree it's kind of shitty to like change things up on pitchers like halfway through the season. Like this might have been a better if they thought about it a little bit more and did it before the season next year. That might have been a better way to approach it.
And there wasn't an incident like Major League where like he goes out and he like takes the guy's cap off and he's got the bottle of Vaseline inside and the sandpaper down his back. Like, if they're doing it, it's in measured response so that it's not obvious. You would have to walk up and like, let me see your hands. All right, elbows, back of your neck. That was one of them, right? Was it
Michael Pineda with the pine tar on the side of his neck?
On the side,
yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah, and he got ejected for that, I think. All right, so
yeah, and the funny thing was you could see it on that was against the Red Sox, and John Farrell was coaching the Red Sox at that time, and you could see it on his face, like when he walked out to the referees or to the umpire, he's just like, "Listen, I never do this,
but Jesus
I never
Christ.
complain." I never complain about somebody who's got a little pine tar on a cold night. But what the fuck is that, really? Like,
he's got a rash on the side of his neck made out of pine tar. Come on, man.
It's like whenever there's a meeting of like all the bad guys in Gotham or something like that, and one of them just kills the other one, and it's just like, Jesus, Jeremy, we have rules in this society. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
By the way, just two more quick sports things, and we'll get out of here. For the longest time on this podcast, we followed the old joke in the NBA of you have 82 games to eliminate like 4 teams, and oftentimes the teams we would pick as the teams who had no shot in making the playoffs ever were the Wizards, which they've gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the Clippers would be on that list.
Yep.
The Suns would be on that list.
Yep.
The Bucks would be on that list. The Hawks would be on that list. All teams that have not won a championship or have not won one in a very long time, longer than our lifetimes. And for the most part have been like really bottom rung organizations for most of our lives. Surprise, surprise. They're the 4 teams left that are in the NBA championships or in the NBA finals. So it'll be, the Clippers or the Suns representing the West, and it'll be the Hawks and the Bucks representing the East. This is like I know NBA can't be happy about this because, they want the LeBrons and the Nets and like all the big stars and stuff like that.
The mega teams flunked out in the playoffs. So what are you gonna do?
I really do enjoy like every once in a while when we have a playoff matchup where it's like they've never won a World Series. It's like here they are for the first time. And it's just like, I hope they win. I hope they win. I'm always going to root for the fan base that has never had a win before.
Is that what happened in 2014 when Kansas City came to Baltimore? And you were just like, you know what? Secretly, I hope Kansas City does win. They need a win.
No, because that was 2014 was
when we got swept in the second.
No,
round?
that was KC.
Yep. And it was their first.
Yeah, because 2016 was when we lost to Toronto because Buck put Ubaldo in.
Yeah. No, 2014 was the sweep, 4 games.
Yeah.
The first 3 in Baltimore, and we just got to watch them
2012 was the year we lost the Yankees in the first round.
Yeah.
Like we beat the Rangers and then lost the Yankees.
Yep.
Yeah.
2014 we went to Detroit.
Yes.
And came back, only to watch them lose in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But now I get it. Now I understand why. Because you secretly wanted Kansas City to win, so they would get their first World Series championship. That's good. Good for you.
They won one before that, right?
I don't think so. George Brett never got a World Series with the Royals, did he? I don't think.
I don't know if George Brett did, but I thought somebody did at some point.
That's like Charles Barkley never got a NBA championship with the Suns. That's how bad they are.
See, in our lifetimes too, 1985.
Who?
They
the
won
Royals?
the World Series. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Did you know that in 2014, though? That's the question.
I didn't. I mean, like, I guess somewhere in my mind, I thought, much like I did right now, like, they had to have won one. I feel like they've won one. But, Yeah, there we go. 1985.
Well-
we were alive for it.
Back to the NBA. So
Yeah.
you named a fifth team there. So the Wizards must have made it all the way to the semifinals, or they're in it to win it, right?
No, they made the playoffs, but it did not look like they were in it to win it, if you will. Like
Well, again,
They
you
were
made
in
the
it.
playoffs to eliminate two teams. You play all the games to eliminate two teams. So making the playoffs, not so impressive.
you were in it to in it.
Yeah.
That's basically. And then one last thing. There's not much to say here, other than like attaboy, I guess. But Carl Nasim is our first openly gay NFL player who will make a roster. There was a player a couple years ago who admitted to, or who came out, but he never made it to a roster. He was like practice squad,
Yeah.
undrafted rookie type. I think he had come out in college or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when it looked like he was going to make an NFL team, but then wasn't good enough to make the cut, and then never played, what I can remember.
Now I remember him looking like he was going to make a cut, then coming out, and then all of a sudden being persona non grata and not being picked up by anybody.
See, I thought about this a lot though. I don't know if Carl Nassib is going to get the kind of hatred that like a Jackie Robinson got. You know, like
absolutely not. First of all, he plays for Vegas.
Well, yeah. I mean, like we're in a different time for sure. I'm not saying he's not going to hear it at all, but I think I'm sort of split between this. Like, clearly there have been gay NFL players prior to this.
Yeah.
Like somewhere, like some of them we know about. They come out after the career is over and stuff like that.
Bo Jackson, what are you trying to prove? Come on. Two sports. Dion. Yeah.
Are you just insinuating now?
I'm just insinuating. You're trying a little too hard. Like, I'm going to go to the All-Star game in two sports in the same year. Okay. All right. You're a manly man. I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Bo Jackson could still murder each of us with his bare hands. So I'm not
I immediately thought of him.
Say unkind words about the man.
I immediately thought of him breaking the bat over his helmet and then throwing the two pieces in the dugout.
Yeah, we would each be one side of that bat.
Yes.
That's basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, thankfully, we live in a more progressive society where he probably won't hear it the same way that like a Jackie did or something like that.
So, but he's 8 times a year. He's going to have to play, 6 times a year. He'll have to play in L.A., Seattle, Kansas City.
No, L.A., Kansas City, Denver.
Denver. Yeah. Okay, so Denver and L.A., I mean, weed's legal. So I just use that as my benchmark of like how progressive is a place. I'm not concerned as much, although I'm not sure the people who smoke weed and the people who go to football on Sunday are the same group. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap in that Venn diagram, but not 100%. Kansas City.
Crossover.
Yeah, Kansas City maybe not as much, but also like they've embraced Patrick Mahomes. So there's another like benchmark if you want to look at how accepting a group can be, like, racially, I suppose. But, I mean, it's not as if he's playing Dallas. What are really racist places? Indianapolis, Dallas. Imagine he had to go play Indianapolis twice a year.
In front of Mike Pence.
Yeah, Mike Pence is sitting up at the top, and he's like,
disappointed Mike Pence.
If he comes out on the field, I'm walking out. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I flew all the way here. I will leave here and fly back. Like, listen, I know the Raiders aren't playing today. Could you just suit up and come out on the field real quick? We just want to send him home. Nobody
We're
wants
just
him
done
here.
with Pence.
Yeah, nobody wants him here.
Democrats hate him. Republicans hate him. Everyone hates Mike Pence.
Look at us, bipartisanship. We're coming together. We're healing the wounds.
Oh man. Well, you know where else you can go to heal some wounds?
Where is that?
OhTheAnthem.com, CoreToTheAnthem.com, Oh The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and @LegendsTV5 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And I'm not gonna say it anymore.
Come on, man. Come on.
I am working on videos. I am not good at this, so I am my one of these days I will make the how ADHD slowly ruins my life videos, and hopefully people will understand a little bit how the executive dysfunction in my brain can be like, you really need to get a video out this week, and at the same time it's just like, guess what you're not doing this week. So
well, yeah. So I mean, like, listen, it's understandable. You've been on set 12 hours a day at least the last 7 out of 8 days. So an insanely busy schedule. You got nothing coming up in the next few days. Plenty of time to get.
Well,
out
I
the
mean,
content.
I gotta move.
Oh right,
and
yeah.
I'm on set this weekend.
Oh
during
right,
that
yeah,
move.
yeah. So probably good. You're not gonna make promises about content then.
Yeah, let's just say that soon enough things will calm down a little bit, and then let's hold me to some promises. But that's it for me.
It just reminds me of when like the pretty girl in high school was like, "You're gonna take me out someday, Rob." Still waiting. I'm still waiting. I'll wait for you forever. You can find more of me at Robert and Cheek on our social networks. I did put a video out last week, probably enough for you to watch even this week since it was 92 minutes long. So do check that out. I am going to be editing it down and putting some of that on the Instagram story. I already did some comments about Olivia Rodrigo, if you know who that is. Sour. Check that out on Instagram TV, IGTV. Also, I had another response about something I put up there. I'm angry a lot, so I just like rant about stuff and then put it on Instagram. So
on YouTube.
That's probably the best place you can find me. I am considering a new series for the YouTube that's inspired by In Treatment from HBO, where I just pretend that the camera is my therapist and we just have a session, and I just talk about whatever I want to talk about, and then I'm looking into the legality of if I think the camera's a therapist, does doctor-patient privilege apply if I admit to doing horrible things? So far, research says no. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, as long as those horrible things isn't like what we saw on How To with John Wilson, I think you're okay.
Probably worse. Probably worse.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I do not know if it's good. But as always, you are listening to the The Anthem podcast, part of the The Anthem Digital Network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Optimus, is that you?
Wait, what's the rest of the line? Don't leave him hanging. What's the rest of the speech?
Governor Newsom, we stand here with you. Well, Optimus, I can't wait to invite you up for our next budget negotiation.
It's a new beginning.
And
it's
then
a new
on to boring
beginning.
California reopening shit.
Oh, yeah, we're reopened. Yay.